This is WLOX News Now at 5. Your news starts right now.
4 dead, dozens more injured. A train smashes into a charter bus on Main Street in Biloxi. Thanks for joining us on WLOX News at 5 in our continuing coverage of that tragic accident. We're going to go straight to Victor Williams, who is live on the scene with the very latest. Victor?
Yeah, Dave, just like you said, right now they are working on getting that bus off of the tracks after this accident happened earlier today around 2 o'clock where the train collided with the bus. Now, from what we understand, this bus was from Texas. The people on board were making their way to several casinos around here. They were on their way to the Boomtown Casino in particular when this happened. They didn't make it to their destination. Now, we're told about 50 to 60 people were on board during the time of the impact. However, since then, 4 have passed away. As a result, 3 passed away on impact and another passed away after being rescued and taken to the hospital. Now, from what we understand, we saw several helicopters coming down here, making rescues, taking people to the hospital, as well as several people being taken off the bus, loaded into gurneys and loaded into trucks, taken to the hospital as well. Now, as far as what caused this accident, we've heard from several witnesses that the bus got stuck on the tracks over here on the main street right back there and was pushed about 4 blocks down here, and it is still in one piece. But I got here as well with several other first responders, and then another wave of responders came, and then more responders, all working to help get people out of this bus. Now, we're going to have continuing developments as to what caused this later on as they become available. For now, we are live in the city of Biloxi. I'm Victor Williams, WLOX News Now.
Of course, CSX investigators on the scene trying to put the pieces together to figure out what went wrong today. For another look at the site of the crash, we're going to go to Carrie Grace for more information on this tragedy on the tracks in Biloxi.
Yeah, we're here on the north side of the tracks. You can see behind me currently there is a wrecker here trying to tow that train off of the tracks. I'm going to step aside so you guys can get a better look at this. So the wrecker right there, they have connected to that bus. They have been attempting to get the bus off of the tracks for probably the last 10 minutes or so. As you can see just how badly mangled the side of that charter bus is. Windows smashed. You can kind of see where, I guess, the front of the CSX train went into where I guess you would say that was the luggage compartment of the charter bus there. Some of the it's also intertwined. You know, some of the charter bus is still connected to the train. They're trying to pull it away best they can at this point. Obviously, people standing pretty far back, but there are a lot of people out here who have been out here the entire time, just sort of witnessing what is happening right now. A lot of people in shock. Really cannot believe to see something like this, even though, as we've reported, there have been accidents at this train, the Main Street crossing before, but nothing of this magnitude. Now, the train appears to be to have minor damage. I mean, there's a little bit of an indentation on the front of the train. Maybe it looks like a little bit of metal bent, but really no real damage to that train that we can see. Obviously, all of that right there on the bus. But lots of people out here with cameras and different things like that, just sort of videoing this, again, in disbelief. We did speak with a couple of witnesses. You'll be able to hear from them coming up later on, but stick with WLOX News for the latest on this tragedy. For now, reporting live in Biloxi, Carrie Grace, WLOX News Now.
Thank you, Carrie. A couple of statements for you. First, from the Vice President of Operations for Penn National Gaming, owner of a Hollywood casino over in Biloxi and Boomtown. Biloxi Casino, he says, with deep regret and sympathy, we can confirm that private charter bus was on its way to Boomtown Casino after it had left Hollywood Casino over in Bay St. Louis, and survivors in that bus crash will be taken to Hollywood Casino in Bay St. Louis tonight. Also, we understand from CSX that the train did have 3 locomotives, 52 cars, 27 loaded cars, 25 empty cars. The train crew was not injured. And on the phone with us right now is John Kemp, who was a witness to this collision today. And John, do we have you on the phone?
Yeah, good evening, Dave.
Well, this happened a little after 2 o'clock this afternoon. What did you see? What happened?
Yes, sir. I make this trip every day. I go to pick my son up from school. I leave the house about 2:10 every day. I live right across the street from the accident. And I've seen several vehicles on that track stuck before. So most of the time, you know, when I confirm that the driver or the people that's on the truck or bus or whatever is safe, I get my phone out and start filming and say, wow, you know, somebody's going to get hurt by that train one day. And so this day, at about 12 after, I noticed there's a bus on the track, so I get my phone out, ready to film, until I notice there are people on the bus. So I'm literally adjacent to the bus. The train hits the bus, knocks it about a good 15, 25, 30 feet from the track. I try to climb through the bus window. I can't get in because it's elevated.
Are people, at this point, John, are people yelling and screaming, and there seems to be a very chaotic scene, obviously, on that bus?
It is. Unfortunately, I did see one of the deceased, the person that got hit by that was on the front of the bus that was probably trying to exit the bus. They were actually dead on impact, and people were severely hurt. In fact, one gentleman, I don't know if he made it to this day. After I climbed through the bus, he was unconscious. Several ladies, elderly ladies, probably in their late 60s, early 70s, they were all severely cut. And I had this gentleman in my hands for about a good 10 to 15 minutes, trying to get him to wake up, and he never did. Within minutes, let me just tell you, the first responders of Biloxi, boy, I tell you, I'm a little bit still distraught by what I saw.
I can only imagine your heart must still be pounding. So you're just saying kind of adrenaline took over in your case.
Yeah, I'm an Army veteran. Once I realized that it wasn't time to be filming this, it was time to get on that bus. Adrenaline took over. First responders got there. They couldn't get on the bus either right away, so they were throwing me bandages, throwing me toilet paper and tissue to wipe up the people that were around me. And then we started trying to get people off the bus one at a time, which in itself was another problem because at that point they were severely injured, and it was very hard to get inside the bus at that point.
You, John, do you recall the seconds before the crash? Did the train appear to be slowing down? Was the horn on that train just going crazy?
Yes.
The crossing arms were down, the lights were flashing?
Everything was flashing. The poor conductor, my heart goes out to whoever that is. That horn was at full blast the whole time. The train was relatively slow compared to most of the time when I do see the train. So he or she must have already had gotten a warning probably several minutes before that because they were slowing down. They wasn't going full speed. And there was a lot of commotion. And the poor people that were on the bus, they were in shock. Some of them didn't realize they were even bleeding.
John, I don't know if you've heard, but 4 fatalities now from this accident, and we're going to have to let you go, and we appreciate it. How do you feel knowing 4 people died on that bus you were trying to help folks on today?
Yeah, it just, I got back to the house. It was one death earlier, and then somebody told me you're reporting this up now at 4, and it just took the air out of me. God bless those people's family.
All righty. Thank you, John. We appreciate it, okay?
Have a nice day.
John Kemp, Biloxi resident, on board that bus trying to help folks today. A statement from a CSX, it reads in part, CSX personnel working with first responders at the collision of the freight train earlier today. It happened at the Main Street crossing. We've heard the story about how that bus was stuck right there. The train was traveling from New Orleans over to Mobile, and it then came across that. The company who owns the charter bus, Echo Transportation, also issued a statement today, rather short. The CEO of that company told WLOX, quote, "We're mobilizing right now to investigate. Once we're ready to make further comments, we will, and we do expect that we will be having those comments." Michelle Masson, who has been at Merit Health in Biloxi, the hospital just a couple of blocks from the accident scene where many of the injured were taken, joins us live now for an update on that part of the story. Michelle.
Here standing by. That's right, Dave. We have been here standing by at Merit Health. Right outside the ER, we've noticed a bus is parked here, possibly to transport patients that were able to walk away from the hospital. Lori Bickel with Merit Health says 13 people were treated here after the collision, this being the closest hospital to the accident site. She also says Merit Health Biloxi assisted AMR on the scene, and they appear to have finished receiving patients here at this ER around 4 p.m. Now, just as a update, there were 3 patients that were transported to Singing River, 4 patients to Singing River, 1 by helicopter, 3 by ambulance. Gulfport Memorial Hospital also received patients, treated 7. Garden Park was on standby to help out, and they did not receive any crash victims. The triage team that was on hand waiting right outside the ER has now gone inside. Now stay tuned to WLOX. We will be standing by to update you on anything new that develops here. For now, we are live here in Biloxi. Michelle Masson, WLOX News Now.
Now, we do know that that particular railroad crossing on Main Street has been a source of problems in the past. It was on January 5th when a Pepsi truck was stuck on that same railroad crossing on the railroad tracks right there, and then also had a collision with a CSX train. And there is we understand from Biloxi Police, a very clear marking that says low crossing. But nonetheless, that is a troublesome crossing on Main Street in the city of Biloxi. Meanwhile, we're watching some stormy weather moving into the western part of our viewing area. We're going to go straight to Carrie Duncan right now for the very latest on that. Carrie?
Dave, we are continuing to watch those storms actually moving into Pearl River County. We've got a few showers and heavy showers out in front of this line of showers and thunderstorms right along I-59, basically stretching from just north of Poplarville back into Picayune. A little bit of a break, and then we see more showers that are going to be heading this way. So we have had some severe thunderstorm warnings up to the north with reports of 60-mile-per-hour winds, ping pong ball and quarter-sized hail. So most of the severe weather looks like it stayed to the north. It's moving into and through Hattiesburg right now. We're going to watch this line of storms advance through the area and move into South Mississippi. It's already starting to move in now, but through at least 10, at the latest 11 o'clock, it should be clear to past the area. Biloxi 7:30, Gulfport 7:12, but Wiggins at 6:24. So within about the next hour and 15 minutes, this line will be advancing through South Mississippi. We're going to continue to keep you updated and give you a timeline coming up a little bit later.
Thanks, Carrie. 4 dead, as many as 50 injured from a charter bus train collision at the Main Street Railroad crossing in Biloxi. The bus out of Austin, Texas, headed to Boomtown Casino. Our coverage of this tragic accident will continue in just a moment.
The news for South Mississippi continues. WLOX News Now at 5.
Sponsored in high definition exclusively by Volkswagen of South Mississippi, your #1 Volkswagen certified pre-owned dealer.
We are continuing to follow the deadly 4 fatalities in the charter bus accident. There's a live look at the scene right now as it looks like a truck is beginning to take that charter bus off the tracks out of Austin, Texas, with senior citizens on board, traveling from Hollywood Casino out to Boomtown Casino. It got stuck on the tracks right there in that eastbound CSX freight train, then broadsided. Here's the very latest from the Biloxi Police Department, courtesy of Jackie Rhodes. Several inspections in East Biloxi, or rather intersections, remain blocked by the stopped train, as you can well imagine. CSX inspecting the train to make sure the train is okay to roll again. CSX inspectors are on the scene, but that's typical protocol. No time frame on when the train will be moved from the scene. Another train that was coming eastbound about an hour after that accident, that would have been a little after 3 o'clock, was actually stopped at Veterans blocking Iris Street intersection. We actually heard that train go by here in our DeBees Road studios. As far as the investigation goes, they're reviewing video from area businesses to see if they can try to figure out what may have occurred. It will be a long investigation, as we know, and that's a good thing because everybody wants to make sure that all the facts are square and straight. No time frame on how long the bus will be on the tracks. was on the tracks actually before that collision, but we've heard from eyewitnesses that the red lights were flashing. The actual crossing arms came down on top of that bus as the train was approaching. Earlier today, there was a press briefing with Biloxi Police Chief John Miller and Biloxi Fire Chief Joe Boney.
As Chief Miller said, it was quite a tragedy. At 2:14 this afternoon, we received a call for a bus versus train accident. The first units arrived on the scene within 2 minutes. They found a tour bus that had been hit by a train. There were many victims still trapped inside the bus. Many people trying to get off of the bus. So you can imagine it was a pretty chaotic scene. We were very fortunate to have the assistance of, like Chief Miller said, among them, AMR was instrumental in getting some people here. Harrison County Fire Service, the Albertville Fire Department, Gulfport Fire Department also assisted in this incident. At this time, we have transported 35 people to the hospital. We have 7, I believe, that were non-injured. They will be released from the scene, and I think Chief Miller said 4 fatalities. They've been transported to area hospitals, Merit Health, Gulfport, I believe, and Ocean Springs and Singing River hospitals. At this time, we have the bus is clear. We have no one else left on the bus. All victims have been transported to the hospital. And
do you know when the last victims were taken off of the bus? About how long did it take before y'all were able to get everyone?
Well, we had 2 victims that had to be extricated. They were trapped. We had to use the jaws of life to extricate them. Most of the victims were taken off within 30 to 40 minutes. The 2 victims that I know of that had to be extricated naturally took a little bit more time. We had to get all the other victims off the bus before we could start extrication.
Earlier, Chief Miller said that 3 people were confirmed dead. You just said 4. So there are 4 fatalities now, or is it 3?
There's 4 fatalities.
4
now.
fatalities.
Yes.
So 4 people have died. Okay.
Were there 4 deceased on the bus from the beginning? Is that what it was, or did one?
No. There was 3 that were deceased, and 1 has since passed away.
You had clergy members on the scene as well?
We did. We had clergy from all denominations out here helping us, assisting us, and it was a community effort. You know,
And our continuing coverage of that tragic train charter bus accident will continue in just a moment. We'll be right back with more here on WLOX News Now at 5. Thank you, Carrie. 4 dead, dozens injured, 50 passengers on board a charter bus. The bus bottomed out on the troubled railroad crossing on Main Street in Biloxi, and that is when a CSX freight train heading east slammed into that bus. Our continuing coverage is going on right now with Victor Williams, who is live at the scene. Victor?
Yes, Dave, as you can see, they are still working to try and get this bus out of here. They have succeeded in getting it off of the track, but as far as moving it out of here, they are still working on it. As you can see, they're trying to connect it to that wrecker right there, and they're going to hopefully be leaving here shortly. Now, if you guys are just tuning in with us, you guys heard before that this happened earlier today around 2 p.m. where this train collided with the truck, and the scene here is still quite active with onlookers who are here just in disbelief taking a look at this tragic accident. Now, once again, there have been 4 fatalities. 3 people died on impact, and 1 person died after being rescued and taken to the hospital. Several other people have been airlifted to the hospital, and right now they're still also just trying to figure out what happened here to begin with. Now, once we receive more information, we will definitely keep you informed on air as well as online. For now, we are live in the city of Biloxi. I'm Victor Williams, WLOX News Now.
Well, obviously that charter bus had a difficult time navigating that particular railroad crossing, which has been a source of trouble there at the Main Street crossing for some time now in Biloxi. We've been told that there is a sign that is clearly marked low crossing. You may recall back on January 5th, We had a Pepsi truck that also had an incident with the train as it bottomed out on the tracks at the Main Street crossing. Stay with us. We'll be right back.